Today, I throw my hat into the ring of a discussion that's both a hot topic and underrated. The discussion of transgenders in the hit game Deltarune by Toby Fox. And no worries, fellow NBs, I plan a video on just us, because Chapter 5 gave us so many new agender and gender fluid characters to dissect. I'll call it, they are them theory. Today, together, yes, you and me, are going to finally answer the biggest question out there. Is Ralsei trans? Nah, I'm just kidding. Today we're going to take a bit of a community deep dive like I did for my Arroways vid, go check it out, and discuss transness. I suppose I should not beat around the bush and start with Ralsei, because I do have some thoughts of mine to share. Then we can get into the form responses, because y'all know I put a form out. Thanks again to anyone who filled it out. I was going to limit the responses a bit more for ease on my part, but nah. Way too many good takes and ideas, so instead I gave you guys about 3 days to just go crazy, and I will include as many of my faves as I can. Hope you understand if you don't get mentioned for video length reasons, and link in the description to everyone's responses to read after this. I did not anticipate the form to be filled in less than 10 hours, so it needed an extension, and thank you all again. Ralsei the Princess, that's what Chapter 5 gave us, but more importantly, Chapter 5 gave us the use of the pronoun they for Ralsei. People say because they is a neutral pronoun, it's not indicative of anything, but I argue because he and him have been used exclusively up until this point, and combined with other evidence, it does mean something. And no, it isn't present in the Japanese localization because there is no neutral pronoun. In Japanese, Toby just uses a character's name or omits a pronoun to stay neutral, and this is one short sentence example of it. Ralsei is fluid with their gender. People love to argue about whether or not Ralsei Transfem is going to be real, is a harmful headcanon, or is even a discussion worth having. But I say, I personally have already won in terms of seeing trans rep. You guys are all right to call Ralsei gender non-conforming, and now he seems to be moving into a more confident and fluid state with their gender and expression of it. This is lovely, extremely positive and impactful. And if you want my 2 cents, probably what Toby will continue to build on, rather than Ralsei coming out as a girl late in the story. So why do people get so heated? Well, a big reason is their disdain of a feminine man being called a woman, which does have some validity to it, but it's really just a headcanon. I don't see what the problem is, truthfully. You have a femboy Ralsei. Some people want a transfem Ralsei, so they draw it, they talk about it, etc., etc. And then you get mad? Because it's femboy phobia. Whoa, wait. I don't know, mate. I'm getting weird vibes here. Why is the issue here claiming a character to be transfem? Don't hate me, but I do see some connections to a misogynistic mindset that potentially fuels this hostility towards transfem Ralsei. Because guess what? Aside from Ralsei, there are multiple feminine men. You just ignore them. And here's a kicker. I've seen people headcanon Ralsei as female to male, with substantially less hate. Do you guys not see how freaking weird that is? RPGs traditionally have always centered around men. So I'm curious, what oppression is being created, and what rep are you losing if one freaking character is transfem? Name 5 transfem characters in RPGs, go! Now let's circle back to some evidence as to why this headcanon even began. Chapter 5 is very heavy with the evidence. Aside from the pronoun change, we have Ralsei being comfortable and happy in a dress, calling himself a princess, eyeing the very suspiciously pink and blue colored drink. Also no, it doesn't represent Susie and Chris, because what sense does that make? Oh Ralsei, I see you wanted the drink. The drink that's the same color as your friends, you homosexual you. That's just poly Ralsei evidence. Overarching throughout the story, Ralsei has been comforted by and gravitated towards femininity. Just because a guy wears a dress doesn't make him trans, you know. But you know what it does make him? Gender non-confirming and fluid with his identity. No, but seriously, no one is slow enough to actually headcanon Ralsei off his clothes alone. And most of you people who say that clothes and pronouns don't equal gender when arguing against transfem Ralsei are transphobic losers anyway, who are just reversing our arguments to sound like you got us or something. But you guys do not keep that same energy with Chris and being non-binary. Also, come on, really? This BS? Over and over again? Listen, if I have to explain to you how purposely erasing Chris's identity as non-binary for your headcanon is not equal to implementing a trans headcanon, you, respectfully, might not have the comprehension to continue a conversation about this. I'm serious. I think if you truly believe this, you aren't stupid, but just missing the understanding and empathy needed to have this discussion. Our fault for being a fandom comprised of grown-ass adults and literal middle schoolers. I've had 15-year-olds argue with me this exact point. I've had to take a deep breath and remind myself I'm a grown-ass adult. Get off the internet. Ralsei struggles greatly with self-expression, and even when he does finally do what they've always wanted, they state he'll only continue if it's what everybody else wants. This is relatable to trans people. It's certainly relatable to me and how many times I've let people dead name and pronoun me because it's just easier. Just in front of my parents, just at work, just in these classes, just at school, etc., etc. People see their experiences reflected, and they headcanon onto the character. This isn't new. Judging by y'all's reactions to Transfem Ralsei, you guys would hate when I headcanon Link as gender fluid, having OCD, asexual, and a bisexual. Or my beloved transmasc OCD having and slipping rib having Edward Elric theory. Yes, I headcanon that his ribs are hypermobile because mine are, and it's a bitch to deal with. I digress. Like I said, I sent out a form, and now it's time to see what y'all have said about Ralsei. Vdxrps has said, I'm neutral to it. My opinion on it was, I didn't like trans Ralsei. That was only because I liked a more feminine boy that was just a little guy. I saw myself in Ralsei due to that. Like, I have thoughts about rocking a dress or any other femme attire sometimes, but I don't believe I'm trans, and I really liked that about Ralsei, a boy who doesn't mind being a little feminine. Other than that, other representation I've seen that's just a guy in full drag and full feminine. I get this. I think people who get overly defensive over the headcanon forget that at the end of the day, Ralsei is still a boy in the game, and he's a boy who doesn't mind being a bit feminine and enjoys it. And there is something pleasing about seeing Ralsei's character and saying, yeah, he's just like that, he wears dresses, he's cool with it. Mason Alex. I'm a strong supporter of trans Ralsei. However, I don't like how the fandom, mostly Twitter, oh my god, thank god I'm not on Twitter, is treating this. Some people assume that if Ralsei is clearly closeted, it means they're a girl. Ralsei can be a lot of other things. They could be trans, femme, non-binary, genderqueer, gender fluid, bigender, etc. Also, people taking theory as fact and using she, her for Ralsei, despite the game only referring to Ralsei Princess in 2 cutscenes, is annoying. Let them come out before affirming, please. Gender fluid Ralsei save us. I personally would love trans femme gender fluid Ralsei. And I love that people headcanon Ralsei as a girl, but we do forget they can be a lot of things as well. Personally, now if I'm being honest, I don't really see anything totally wrong with people she-herring Ralsei. I've heard people do it in their videos, and sometimes it just rolls off the tongue easier when we're having this discussion. But I get how that gets into the whole, like, they, them, Chris debate, and then people call me a hypocrite for it. And here's an odd observation, kind of a side note, but people hardly ever she, her Chris. They just he, him, them. And I think that's why people take issue with that headcanon of Chris, because it sounds like you're just trying to erase their identity and give yourself another male RPG protagonist. I'll talk about this more in my NB video, but this reminds me of how alternatively, people tended to she, her Frisk and never use he, him. Frisk is a child for starters, and you guys have seen how some fans draw them. It's just a very weird situation here, but back to Ralsei, I digress. I get how people wouldn't like hearing she, her for them, at least not yet. Genius Robot 1. I think that Ralsei's arc works very well if he turns out to be a trans woman, since it would fit perfectly with this whole discovering who you are thing. But if he doesn't, that's okay too, because media doesn't have much feminine, gender non-confirming man representation. Contrary to what most people in the community might think, I find both of these scenarios to be very satisfying. Truth nuke dropped. Most people who headcanon transfem Ralsei are not going to kick down Toby's door if it doesn't happen. Some will, but I hope most of us just move on and continue the headcanon on our own, if we want. I agree totally. Like, not enough people have this view, but we see how good of gender non-confirming male rep Ralsei is currently, but also that he has the room to be amazing transfem rep as well. Cinnabun. I think the theory is really cool because it just fits with the story as a whole and with their character. Deltarune is a game about defying fate and following your hopes and dreams. So a trans main character coming out would fit with the whole narrative of breaking free from the roles that people put you in, which in Ralsei's case would be the prince. They've already started to rebel against the prophecy, making friends and recruiting people into Castletown, already rebelling against the alone and deepest dark part of the prophecy, so I think it would make sense if they also weren't a prince at all. Also, Flowery does suggest that Ralsei is pretending to be something they're not, which could just be something about them as a Darkener and what they are in the light world, but Toby loves his double meanings, so it would make sense, especially with the princess scene. It's clear Flowery is trying to push Ralsei into being who they truly are, which might be someone that isn't a boy. Yes! I think this is why so many people love trans Ralsei and specifically love them as transfem, combined with other evidence. I agree. I think him defying the prophecy would be so cool. People say, oh, but he's a prince in the prophecy, so he can't be trans. They can still be trans, alright? It can still be defied. I'm sure of it. T-girl hiding in a closet. Personally, I like the theory, as it's a relatively thoughtful read of Ralsei's character arc, and I feel it gets a lot of underdeserved hate because undeserved. Oh! And I feel like it gets a lot of undeserved hate because people think the theory is Ralsei is feminine equals must be trans. Also, representation for pre-transition trans people into post-transition is extremely rare and needed, and I would much appreciate it, especially now. Yes, beautifully said. I think one of the best parts of this headcanon is getting a character that we see actively transitioning throughout the story. That's rare as hell. Right now, all we got is Victor from the Umbrella Academy. Ditto. Honestly, I don't think he's transfem. In fact, it was some kind of misunderstanding from the fandom. Everyone can headcanon whatever they want. I'm not saying people can't have fun. However, specifically Ralsei's situation has become quite difficult since nobody wants to hear different opinions from it's basically canon now. The fun game represents conformity, with Susie being a masked girl, Ralsei being a femboy, and Chris being an NB. Making Ralsei become transfem would kind of ruin the concept, and show that being feminine means that you definitely have to be a girl. Ralsei is one of the greatest representation of femboys in media that has never been sexualized by fans or the we're gonna come back to that, unlike femboys from other fandoms. Nowadays, femboys are seen as inappropriate content, unlike masked girls. I think this might also be for, I'm just gonna say patriarchy, because I don't want to sound out patriarch. I meant to look up the pronunciation before I started reading this script. The fault of the patriarchy, which you're probably right about, everything loops back to the patriarchy. If a girl wants to be masked, it's fine because she wants to be like a man, so the highest rank. However, if boys want to be femme, it always has to be seen as a downgrade of men, if I may say, which hurts. People say that if you're femme, then you're certainly a girl, because femininity is less than masculinity for the patriarchy. I don't know why, but I feel as if many people say Ralsei is transfem because it would be an excuse for why he's feminine. Ralsei wears a pink dress and says, I can be a princess if you want. He wants the blue and pink soda. Flowery calls him a princess and he gets out of a closet and changes pronouns. You get headcanon whatever you want, but saying that this is transfem proof, then you're wrong. Ralsei says he can be a princess if Chris wants, because he's a people pleaser. He wanted to try a dress and stay in the role of a dress, but nobody said a thing when he wore a tuxedo, instead acting as if it was more proof when he wore a dress. Because he didn't like wearing the tuxedo, and just throw that out there. Again, patriarchy. Ralsei wants the blue and pink soda because those are Susie and Chris's colors, or just Chris, since apparently people get mad if I mention Susie too. If you look at the other colors, Susie took the purple one, her light world color, and Chris the green and yellow one, their light world colors. Flowery calls him princess because he wants to tease him. That's it. He gets out of a closet because he sees himself as a useless object, and Asgore uses they on him because he doesn't know his gender. What I find interesting is also that nobody said a thing when Susie in the exact same chapter that she wanted to be the king of the festival. Have you ever seen transmasc Susie theories? I hate how people say it's a theory as an excuse to misgender Ralsei. His pronouns has always been he, him, and we should respect that. Ralsei's arc is based on exploring who he is, since he always has seen himself as less than nothing. This is self-discovery too. Interesting theory. To address some aspects, I don't inherently think Ralsei coming out as trans would erase their gender non-conformity, being a representative of gender non-conforming men in the beginning chapters, or ruin the themes of the fun gang at all. If anything, I think that they would really strengthen the themes of the fun gang, in my personal opinion. Also, I'm sorry, but the fact that you said that Ralsei has never been sexualized by the fans, it has me laughing a little. I'm so sorry. There is a whole section of the internet you must know nothing about. And I've faced those people, met those people in real life. And oh my goodness, there are definitely some horrible people out there. I knew one of them. Grown-ass man, by the way. Grown-ass man. Getting it off to a goat who's also a minor. Ugh, so I understand. There's definitely less of it, I feel like, or it is contained in its hidden cursed corners of the internet, but you guys already know my take on the drinks, and as for the pronouns, I think the responder just is missing the in-game text where Ralsei uses they, them, not just what Asgore uses, because that would make sense, you know, Asgore says they because he doesn't know, and that's just the thing that you do. That would make sense, but it is more in-game text. It is in the menu. So and as for transmasc Susie theories, I wish I saw more of them, but I really think that can be explained by her being a butch lesbian, because then, like, you're just erasing her being a butch lesbian if you're like, oh, I think she's a man. I think the Yuri ship, like listen to this, right? I think the Yuri ship, I think the two girls kissing, the lesbians, I think one of them's a man. And we talk about Noelle trans man theory later, and just for fun. I don't personally, I'm not like, yes, this is it. I think she's transfem. If anything, that's my personal headcanon of Noelle, but again, I digress. I just think that she is a butch lesbian, and therefore she just uses the male title out of the two, so Noelle can be the queen. I think you are trying to grasp at straws that are not really forming anything. No offense. But I do see where you were coming from, and I did enjoy reading this, and I do understand a lot of your points. Tilly. I think that trans Ralsei makes sense with their whole arc right now, and people should try to look at trans Ralsei from the perspective of someone who's transfem. Yes, I just think that even if Ralsei doesn't end up as texturally transfem, the subtext is definitely there if you're trying to honestly engage with the story from that lens. That's what people are missing! That's what they don't understand. They're clearly shown to have some amount of desire to explore being a girl in some sense, but they also feel like they need permission to do so. I think that it makes perfect sense for them to explore their gender as they learn to be more independent. This is something that basically every trans person has to go through at some point. It takes a long time to learn to recognize that you don't need anybody's permission to be yourself. I think that Ralsei is, therefore, a character that many trans people resonate with, and so we hope that Ralsei, like us, because Ralsei already represents many of our struggles so well. Yes. If you choose to engage with the story in this view, you see it so clearly. I think problems arise from people who don't view it this way, and then get mad at those who do. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't view the text with this lens by personal choice, maybe, or just they can't fathom that lens because they haven't lived it, but then they go out of their way to get mad at those who do and those who have lived it, and then you just come across as very transphobic, very shallow and closed-minded because you're not engaging in the text in different ways that you can be. And I'm not saying you have to play Deltarune and be like, oh, okay, who's trans, who's gay, who's this, who's that. That's what I do. That's my whole channel. So you just need to be respectful when somebody else does that and not start crying and calling them a hypocrite. I'm sorry I couldn't include everyone's readings on Ralsei in here. That's why I'm publishing the responses. Because, alright, hear me out. It felt unfair of me to just read out people's responses multiple times because there are people who had really good responses for the other sections, but also really good Ralsei readings. I did not want, the video to just feel like it was dominated by a few respondents, but I don't want to ignore you guys. It felt equally as unfair to just cherry pick things and ignore all of their hard work. So that's why I'm publishing the responses. Maybe we can do this all again sometime, who knows? Now, let's move on to the best character of all time, Pink. She's clearly transfem, because she's a ghost who uses they, them, and then she's a she who uses she, her. That's something that is determined in Undertale. Oh, but if they were them, then does it count? Because all ghosts are non-binary. Yes, baby, it's called an allegory. Toby just writes ghosts as a gender, personal choice of his. And they gave this one a gender by having her possess a female body and say she loves it 20 times. And yes, the ghost versus body toxic self-cessed T for T Yuri is a metaphor to Chris and us. But it can also be highlighting the external versus internal debate of trans people. Guys, I think she made me realize I'm more transmasc than I thought. Gross, I hate men. I don't want to be one. All jokes. But seriously, I might add he to pronouns. But seriously, a lot, if not all, trans people know what it's like when you're internally grasping for something and finally present it externally, only to feel judged, scared, picked apart by society, or like you're expected to now behave a certain way. The way Pink's body likes dating and Maddie hates it to me reflects how, for me as example, I want to start presenting more masculine, but when I do, I feel a pressure to act masculine, to like things I don't and stop liking things I do, so I pass better. Maddie is fighting not wanting to be like a dating sim, where it's expected of her new body to want that, I think. But she loves the way she presents, I think, and wants to act as she always has nonetheless. I want to shave my head one day, get more buff, and wear masculine things. But I don't want to... What do you guys do for fun? I don't want to play League of Legends. Alright, enough of this. What did you guys say about Pink? Borange the Smiley Orange. I adore Pink. Her and Orange fight for my favorite flower constantly. See? Pink is a flower. She's a flower if she wants to be. I love how she's introduced as a flower and gets mad when she isn't called one. I feel like that's another part of our identity that I rarely see get addressed. Yes! I've seen people not count her as one of the flowers in things such as rankings, and it does make me a little upset and sad to see her not there. But she wants to be a flower. Pink and Orange do have a very sisterly relationship, so I feel like if her sister figure is a flower and she wants to be one too, she should also be called a flower. There's not much to say that's been unsaid by the community for her. I love your interpretation of her wanting to be a flower. I think this relates to what I said as well. This is a great interpretation. I also see Pink excluded from flower lists, and it makes me sad, because not only are you saying, nah, she's not a flower, I don't care what she wants, she's not a flower, how else am I even gonna find her? She's a flower, put her in there. I need to find her. I'm looking through the flower list, she's not there, where is she? Gotta go to the secret bosses. Stupid, put her with her sisters. Malvina. I absolutely adore it. One thing to focus on is, of course, her shop. Warning, probably a large ramble that may or may not wax poetic. She's locked within her gray walls still, but despite that, the sunset is one that fills her heart with a serenity she's never felt before. That's a distinct contrast in how she behaves in the shop versus the pink room / cafe that I find so beautiful. The sunset is her dreams, a path forward. The walls she's trapped within don't seem so harsh anymore, do they? There's a far distance to the sun. She has a lot to think about. So long as she allows herself to see it, it's all gonna be okay, right? That's right, go outside. It's beautiful. Though not herself just yet. She'll spend some more time dreaming. That's a beautiful interpretation. I love this. I think it speaks well for a lot of trans people, dreaming on how to move forward, spending time with yourself introspectively, and making the most of what you have. This can relate to how it feels to live in a situation where you can't yet be yourself fully, but you know there's hope to get to a new place. JoelTheParrot has a mini rant about what age Pink is, and I promise I read your answers aloud for a different section. I just wanted to focus on this first section. Yeah, what age is Pink? Why is she flirting with like a 16-year-old? And a lot of adult fans make sexualizing jokes about her. So, is she 18? Guys, let me know what age you think Pink is, because this has always bothered me too. Pasha. Maybe dissociative identity Pink headcanon, as her whole arc is about separating from her body and such. Of course, I'm aware this is mostly aimed at her transness, but imagine disabled Pink coming in terms with their disability and showing the struggles it can bring. My brain just shut off, I'm so sorry. It can bring is a thought that makes me really happy. Pink motivates me to express myself as someone on the transfem spectrum. She's got everything pretty and pink going on, and I love cute girls representing disabilities trope. It feels validating, hence bringing me comfort. I love that it's a literal example, but it still exemplifies dissociative identities. I didn't really think about this, and you are so right. There definitely are some connections to other personality or dissociative disorders in her character, which is so cool. I feel like Toby literally includes like almost anyone's experience into his games with his characters. He's really good at that. And so I really love this headcanon, and I'm glad you brought it up. JD. I do love the autosexual or self-obsessed rep. I don't know the correct terms. Sorry if these are wrong or weird. I also do not know the correct terms, but I am open to learning. I am neither of those myself, but she made me realize I've never seen any actual representation of that outside of her. I really love her personality, and tying her with Mad Mew Mew here, her rage about her body or representation is very relatable. Even though I am a trans man, I understand feeling isolated from your own emotions and only being able to hate your body or not being able to fuse with it at all. I forgot about how this is low-key rep for autosexuals too. I personally don't really ship the body and the soul, even though I've seen like fan art of that, because I'm in between on it. I don't really know that much about being autosexual, but I don't mind seeing fan art of it, and I do actually enjoy seeing fan art of it. I wish I had a better understanding, but I don't even know where to begin if I'm being honest. So if anybody does have more information, that's much appreciated. We always like to stay as knowledgeable about the others around us as we can. So these are great points that are brought up. Z. Her specifically is Mad Mew Mew, and her soul trying to fuse with anger is me with overcompensating and working out and being competitive. I also try to fuse with my body through anger by comparing myself to other guys, ego lifting, being hypermasculine, being competitive, being rude, hostile, and annoying. Yeah, I'm not throwing knives at people like Mew is, or throwing bombs like Pink, but I'm definitely bragging to other people about how much I can lift, attempting to win every arm wrestle match, and having to stop myself from getting into fights with people. I would totally win, trust bro, trust, but I have a reputation to uphold. No, I totally relate. This is kind of what I was getting at earlier. The masculine urge to do some BS like play Apex and listen to Lil Wayne and drink Monsters and go to gym. I'm actually so jealous of some of my cis male friends. Sometimes you guys ever like take note of your cis friends as a trans person? You're like, what hobbies are you into? Yeah, don't go shirtless around me if you're a cis man. I'm gonna stare longingly, not with love or lust, but a third more sinister thing, envy. So, I digress. And last but not least, the big shot ever. Go check out this tuber right here for the full spam trans endeavor. In short, he has major connections to Mettaton, our fave femboy trans man, including refusing to wear the dress of transgenderness, the dress worn by a lion NPC as a dude in Undertale and a lady in Deltarune. So I personally think that Spamton being trans is a huge, favorite headcanon of mine. I truly just like it. It's neat. It adds certain layers to his character that I enjoy as a trans person. I almost said transmasc. Transmasc? Am I transmasc? Well, I'm still non-binary, even if I add he to my pronouns. Remember that. And Pink is still my mascot. Also, because that's funny as fuck. Of course the transmasc NB chooses the Transfem doll as a mascot. Right. It's just like my life. In a way. So once again, let's see what the people have said about Spamton. JoelTheParrot. I think it makes sense. Spamton's pursuit to enter the light world leads him taking over the ideal body of a trans man, Mettaton. He lays eggs. Honestly, it's interesting in hindsight because he's like a foil to Pink. Pink is a lightener who took over a robotic darkener body and wants to always be in the dark world. Spamton is a darkener who took over the robotic body designed by and for a lightener who is doing so to get into the light world. They desire the exact opposite things. Spamton believes he's destined for so much more, while Pink wants to have her happy little fantasy world at all times. I wonder if there'll be anything in the future chapters about trying to make her real life better. It seems like a lot harder for the ghosts, due to the world being more mundane. On Undertale, Mettaton and Mad Mew Mew both possess professionally crafted robots made by Alphys. I think that's what the Mew Mew doll is anyways. My memory's fuzzy. I might have been merch from the real world that Alphys owned. I also don't remember, if I'm being honest. But in Deltarune, the best they could do for so far with modern technology was an MS Paint drawing and a basic doll. They even both have weird age thing, since Spamton uses that inappropriate term to describe Noelle in the weird route. Hopefully just because Spamton himself is very broken and uses a lot of inserted terms that don't fit the situation well. Spamton being transmasc doesn't fill me with passion, but it's very much something that makes me go, that makes sense, I like that. I guess the main thing it makes me wonder about is the nature of Spamton himself. Is he based on a particular advertiser lightener, for example? Would that lightener be trans? Or maybe he is based on a woman lightener and him being the man he is in direct defiance of that. Treading his own path like he so wants to. Which could further the idea of him wanting to go into the light world so that he can be more than an object based on a woman. The theory doesn't make me go, yippee, woohoo, that's so fun. It makes me do that, but it's very intriguing to think about. I really how this is... What the fuck did I do? I really like how in this case, he's the opposite to Pink. I think that's a very interesting connection. I'm really glad you brought that up. It definitely feels like more of a fun headcanon than one like Ralsei, where people who are either like extremely into it or extremely against it. This is more of a headcanon where like if you see it, you see it type. And so I guess it makes it really fun and really fluid. I like the parallels you drew to Pink. I didn't see really anybody else do that, and I kind of didn't even think about that myself, so. River1221. His mannequin wore the trans dress, TM. Even if there wasn't the thing with him getting a deeper voice after using the Neo body, or the thing with the Pippus being eggs, I think he was trans via just wearing kind of the trans dress. Also, you're recommended, I was like, I didn't do shit. You're recommended to wear said mannequin in Pink's fight, which is basically because she's a cat and it defends against puppet cat. But also that draws yet another association of transness to go to the dress. I think of Spamton as trans. I'm not going to go all into the evidence or anything, but if you look at all of it, it feels like he's clearly a trans man. More headcanon-y, but I do buy the idea that Spamton would have done his own top surgery. Which is a horrible idea for anyone to do, but Spamton seems like the type to do something that much of a bad idea. I feel like he'd make his own HRT, which isn't the best idea. Guys, I never knew DIY HRT doesn't even mean you're like making estrogen in your fucking backyard with Walter White. DIY HRT means like you just get it without a prescription. What the fuck? But anyways, nah, he would make DIY HRT. He does a lot of things that don't seem like good ideas, and he's living out of a garbage thing in chapter 2. He's the exact opposite of transition goals to me. I may be transmasc, but I don't want to be spammed. Great answer. Yeah, I don't really know about wanting to be spammed as transition goals. Maybe a little bit. I could be a little bit of a gross, weird creature, but no, I don't want to live in a dumpster. Misha Seekerhid? I think I'm saying the name right. I hope so. I think he is for sure transmasc without a doubt. My number one piece of evidence is probably the disc squirming if you try and insert it in the mannequin with the dress, plus all the mannequin stuff in general. Something fun about the mannequin is that the dress itself, particularly in Undertale, is like the dress that makes you transgender, the dress of self-acceptance. But in Deltarune, it seems to represent more like your pre-transition self that you don't want to go back to. Like obviously it looks like Spamton and is wearing a dress and he doesn't want to go into it. Later in Castletown, the Addisons dress it up in Ralsei's old stuff with the hat. Much to think about. I know that should probably go in the Transfem Ralsei section, but whatever. Anyway, isn't there something about Spamton's voice blips being pitched down in the game from the game files, like he's voice training? I might have misremembered. Also, who's rocking with the idea that Wing Gasser was calling Spamton on that phone because he was Spamton's DIY HRT supplier? Yes, I think you're right about the voice blips. Good call, because I do remember hearing about that too, but I completely forgot. Not gassed. Spamton, your testosterone is here, but you have to leave Tenna for it. Good answer. Milo. I've also been a transmasc Spamton enjoyer since day one. Cut that wire and make me a real boy. All the things about the dress that only has stuff to do with trans characters, Metaton, Chris, Pink, the Lion, Waitress, and Spamton. Plus his Neo design is just a canonical trans man's dream body, plus being shorter than the other Addisons, plus I forgot if this is canon or fanon, but he's the only Addison that's not called a color. Spamton is his chosen name, perhaps? I feel like for every response, I'm just hitting the, good answer, nephew, but good answer. Like, yes, he wants to be a real boy. A real boy, you say? Like a trans one? Can't get any realer than that. All the real boys I know are trans. Dun da da da! The best part! Headcanon time. Sorry if I have no heavy commentary. I'm all drained from rants on Ralsei, Pink being a diva, and Spamton being a trash creature. So, I try. I did enjoy reading all of them, and I tried to put instead of doing the tally marks, I tried to just put, like, people having their own takes. You know what I'm saying? Not copy paste the same ones over and over again. Soybean321, Alphys is a nerdy trans girl. Genius Robot 1, Transmasc Blue. For my earlier video, I'm glad you like that headcanon. Spiky B, first transmasc Noelle truther I've heard, and I also like your Demi Boy Birdly take. Nell808, El Nina and La Nino, my faves ever. I can't believe I forget them in every single transgender discussion. They are trans. I don't even know what you want me to say. Cinnabun, Flowery because he knows too much about what Ralsei is going through. Peak idea, and they weren't the only one to say this, but T-Girl hiding in a closet says trans Toriel. I like that. Mint, it's gotta be Noelle. Truth, Misha Sickerhit, Birdly could be a girl. Birdly could be a girl. Damn it, I'm getting out-woked here. Good call. Pasha, Carol Transfem for the antler as well. That's peak, and that's underrated. Anonymous also said transmasc Noelle due to her autonomy being taken away, or wanting to break free, and often being called things like the girl or damsel in distress. I honestly kind of fuck with this heavy. I feel like I see that because when a lot of feminine imagery is used to describe me or feminine terms, I'm like, stop. But that's because I am trans. So anytime I see a character constantly get called the girl, I'm like, oh, they must be trans. Ditto, transmasc Asgore. Yes, okay. We got Transfem Toriel, transmasc Asgore. We've done it. We've reached peak. We've reached nirvana. JD, trans sans. That's like what I think. I think trans sans. And mentioned Alphys giving sans gender affirming hip bone surgery. That is so peak. It's so great. Canon in my mind. Peuku, I hope I'm saying that right. Green Pippins is a trans woman. No explanation, but I did say you didn't need to give an explanation because I wanted to see how unhinged we could get, and you guys delivered. I freaking love that. Lee says everyone, like Susie Transfem, Drakenstein wants a tutu, Onion Son's trans, Gerson could be non-binary boy, Chris is autogender or trans neutwa, which I fuck with. As someone who headcanons, they use neo-pronouns. Birdly one day figuring out his gender is more complex than just male, and Noelle in December, and the whole holiday family if you're opening up your mind enough to it. How did they reproduce? Rudy was pregnant. Now a heartwarming segment. The trans experience. I've spoken mine, but I was curious if you guys had anything you wanted to share, and I picked a few I think are good thoughts to end on. So, I've grown up in a family against transitioning, so as a gender fluid person, I haven't been able to experiment much outside of simply going through an emo phase, where I dress in more boyish clothes, but never able to actually be one. And like I said earlier, I relate to Ralsei because of that. They only experiment when others want them to. I also love how the games address body dysmorphia. It does feel like you're fighting with your own self to feel comfortable and happy. It does feel isolating. The topic is also only ever done in a way that only people trying to seek it out will find it. If someone doesn't care for those ideas, then the ideas can just be seen as characters overcoming challenges and finding joy through story progression. I too have to get to learn myself before trying to simply move along. I really like how Chris versus the Soul can be read as another trans allegory, even more so thanks to Pink, who can be thought of as both Ralsei and Chris. Overall, I like how all of the supposed trans characters in canon are dealt with, especially as someone who can't really deal with themselves. Relatable. I used to dress in mall goth / like new metal a bit for the boyish clothes. I totally relate to that, and yes, Deltarune characters are truly, if you want to see it, you do, and if you don't, you don't, which makes it peak in my eyes. I truly wish the best for you and getting more freedom and explanation in your style. I really hope that you're able to dress more into the way that you want. I've been questioning being trans for a long time, and everything about Pink has been one of the biggest influences on my thoughts recently. It does feel like I've been looking at the world through a napkin. Deltarune has such a joy to it and makes me feel so happy. Something that can take me away from gender, but also make me feel comfortable. Pink is making all of us trans. Throughout the story of Deltarune, it truly feels more and more like a comfort game, at least to me. So I totally agree. It's like my little place to go. Ralsei helped me accept myself. I've known for a while now that I'm trans, but I've only recently started to accept myself and tell people. Ralsei trying to do what she thinks other people want her to do and trying to fit with what she should be based on the prophecy made me realize that I was pushing down my feelings because I thought that my family wouldn't want me to be trans, and I thought that I shouldn't be trans or wasn't trans enough because I had and still do have a lot of internalized transphobia. Ralsei slowly discovering herself and being selfish and realizing what she wants helped me realize that I could do that too, and that I should be doing that too. I still have a long way to go, but I feel like I'm finally starting to accept myself, and I don't know if I would have gotten there if I had never played Deltarune. I'm so glad you're accepting yourself. I wish you a lot of luck and support on your journey. It's so beautiful how much Toby's games have had this like serious impact, and is the reason why representation in media is important. People forget that, okay? Representation matters for reasons like this. Side note, somebody replied to this question with, I'm probably not trans, and that made me giggle. Like, yeah, probably not, you know. So it's kind of up in the air. Toby Fox will decide later. A lot of you also mentioned how Toby helped you realize you're trans, which is so real and relatable. And yet again, it's just to reiterate, more proof, representation matters, alongside the ability to headcanon characters that seem to hit to certain identities, allowing us a more fluid interpretation. Well, we did it. 45 minutes later, we reached the end. Congrats. Together, we talked transness for what? 40 minutes. I had a blast, personally. I hope you guys did too. Stay tuned for my NV version, and if I don't make another crack theory before then. And thanks again to the forum respondents. You truly make my channel go round. The channel that reached 2,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for making it up in the world. Thank you guys for also sticking with me through my sudden trans Ralsei rant. Couldn't contain myself. Like and subscribe and share and hype and hit the bell and comment and whatever else there is. Bye bye!